Good morning, all. I welcome you all on the behalf of StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Pritesh Mathurkar. I welcome you all to this very exciting endeavor, this very fantastic journey, wherein you and me are moving ahead step by step in the analysis of the most important document in the examination of civil services conducted by UPSC, and the name of the document being the Civil Services Examination Oriented Hindu Analysis Zone, or the newspaper analysis. Okay, I'm deliberately changing the name of the document. I'm not taking the document's name only as the Hindu, but I'm taking the name of the document as the Hindu Analysis Zone per se. Why analysis is important, guys? Because of two things. Number first, the civil services examination is a evolutionary examination. Each year the questions tend to evolve. Each year they tend to become more and more analytical. Hence, your analysis of the newspaper comes in handy, and for that I will be your primarily faculty. Using this analysis, we will try to extract the maximum utility of the articles in your prelims as well as your mains. And it's my endeavor, it's my best practice that I will make you all achieve at least 30 to 40 marks in prelims, and dare I say approximately 300 to 400 marks in your mains. And if essay comes in your purview, that can easily go up to 400 to 500 marks also. So such is the gravity of the analysis of the Hindu, and there are some dedicated pages in the Hindu which have been especially crafted for you all. Those of you who are seeing me for the first time, yeah, good morning Jagriti, and those of you who are seeing me in a continuing basis, and those who will see me here afterwards. So you all know that there is a page in Everyday's Hindu called as the text and context page. So some very important articles come in that page. So the analysis of that page becomes very, very important. The utilitarian value of that page is also very high. So we'll focusing on such kind of aspects of the analysis of Hindu. And I welcome you all on the behalf of Study IQ's entire team to join me in this endeavor. And through this endeavor, guys, we will make sure that you and I will move step by step, will march forward step by step, and that in the end we will achieve the success. So if you watch my lectures for roughly 1 month or 2 months, or dare I say maximum 2.5 months, you will be pretty good in analyzing newspapers. So that is my ultimate aim, that I want each and every one of you to supersede me, guys. Okay, this is, I'm saying for the first time, I want each and every one of you to supersede me in analysis, because then only you will become a true aspirant, you will become a true kind of officer which India needs. Okay, yeah, good morning Anup. So please have this in mind that one day you all have to supersede me in analysis, and hence I'm giving you daily homework that before joining the classes, please do analysis of your own. Please tick mark the articles which are important from any day's perspective, and see whether your articles and my articles match. And after the session, we also tend to have the sharing of the PDFs directly, so you have to work upon your content too. So maintenance of full file folders. And yesterday I tapped my Pandora's box. I tapped my wand into the Pandora's box, and I opened up another dimension, which is vocabulary skills, which are writing skills, which you have to learn from the newspaper too. So today also I will introduce to some of the few aspects of writing skills, which all of you can directly quote from the papers, which you can directly utilize from the papers too. Okay, so analysis and now writing skills, these two will be my focus areas. Up till now, analysis was the primary reason of this sessions, but now I will be also focusing on writing skills and vocabulary, because guys, you have to compete with the best of the best in India. And again, I will like to quote Viru Sahasrabuddhe from the movie Three Idiots: life is like a race. If you don't run fast, you are like a broken anda. So you have to crush the competition. You have to move ahead by crushing, by deliberately crushing the competition. Basically, you have to do what, guys? Those of you who are watching me and those who will watch me in later days, you have to do what? You have to convince the invigilator. You have to convince the person who is checking your paper that yes, sir, madam, we fulfill all the prerequisites for qualifying this examination. So please don't award us mark. Don't award us mark, but give us marks. You don't have to beg for marks, guys. You have to make the invigilator give you marks. That should be your ultimate endeavor. Your answer should be so beautifully crafted, your answer should be so well structured that invigilator himself feels or herself feels that yes, this person deserves a position in the bureaucracy of India. And that is how you move ahead. And for that, analysis of newspaper is of paramount importance. Okay, so let's move ahead with today's discussion. Before I move ahead, again I will like to introduce myself. My name is Pritesh Mathurkar. I will be your primarily faculty for analyzing NBA's Hindu. You can search me on a Telegram. The name of the channel is called as the Hindu Analysis Zone. I have deliberately kept it on the lines of SEZ, the Special Economic Zone, but here I have not added S, as you have to add, as I told you, it is going to be your own special analysis. So, you will have your own analysis in this part. So please make sure that you add special on your end. So please make sure that you add special on your end in this part. Okay. And for joining this channel, you can just do a global search on Telegram. You can just search for @the Hindu Analysis Zone. As you do a search of this, as you search on Telegram @the Hindu Analysis Zone, you will be able to really join the channel. And in this channel, you and I will interact on a daily basis, where I'll be sending the PDFs, and hopefully you all will get in resonance with me. So let's move ahead with the discussion of present day's Hindu. Let me open up the Pandora's box for you all. Okay, so I'm beginning with the discussion of the first article of today. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. We have solved the audio problem. Yeah. So the first article that I'm discussing with you all today is a very important article from the pandemic perspective, is a very important article from your understanding of current affairs. And in this article, I tend to focus on 3 to 4 major areas with regards to the handling of the pandemic of the COVID-19. And in this article, you have some very good recommendations as to how you should be cautious with regards to the future scope of such pandemics. So you all know, guys, that the year 2020, or dare I say the latter half of 2019, was the first time when the world saw one of the biggest pandemics on earth. This pandemic has shattered the world records in terms of deaths. This pandemic has shattered the world records in terms of transmissibility, in terms of outreach. So this article basically pertains to the handling of pandemic, how you should move ahead, and how you should resolve the systemic errors that you had, and what should be the future scope of in the future. Just give me a moment, I will just clear the audio. Okay. Okay, now I hope the audio is clear. So the first article that I will be dealing with you all today is a very important article from the mains perspective as well as from the prelims perspective. So recently, WHO basically did what? Basically, the WHO down the status of COVID-19 as a pandemic to a pandemic which is not a health public emergency of global concern. So up till now, COVID-19 was declared as the public health emergency of international concern, but no more the pandemic is a public health emergency of international concern. So in every lecture, I tend to paint a severity level of the articles. In every lecture, I tend to give you a severity score of the articles. So today's severity score is between 4 to 6. 4 to 6 in the sense that out of the 5 articles which I'll be discussing, 4 articles will be of severity score 4 to 6, whereas one article which is on left-wing extremism one article will be very, very important, and that article will be a continuing article from the previous sessions. So please make sure that you get that article well. Please make sure you understand that article very well. Okay, so the first article I'm discussing it with regards to the headway of COVID-19 pandemic. Is it with regards to how you should move ahead with the dealing of such pandemics in the future. So now, before I start with this article, guys, you need to keep in mind two things. Okay, the first thing is that why basically we got COVID in our realms, and number two, what were the systemic errors in this. Yeah, good morning, Stuti. So why did we get COVID, or why COVID became a pandemic? Guys, it is because we reached to the doorsteps of COVID-19. We did what? We did deliberate agricultural practices on the borderlines of forests. So if you go to China, or if you go to any of the forest areas of the world, normally you will see what? Normally you will see that across the forest lands, or just across the borders of forest lands, you have agricultural tracts. Now just imagine if any virus jumps from the jungle and it comes on to the animals that are flowing onto the field. So if a bat is coming from a jungle and he bites, or that bat bites a cow, or that bites another animal, and from that animal the virus comes into humans. So such kind of diseases are called as zoonotic diseases. So the primary reason why COVID-19, such a big pandemic, came into us is because we are reaching to the doorsteps of such viruses. The first thing, you need to be very clear with this. And the second thing with regards to COVID-19, you need to understand, guys, that the handling of COVID-19 was not proper. Okay, some nations imposed some very heavy restrictions. Some nations did not impose very heavy restrictions. Some nations were very reliant on research and development. Some nations were very easy to go in their restrictions. So no, that is not done. So this article will paint you a very good perspective. This editorial, the side editorial, will paint you a very good perspective with regards to the future scope of article. Hence, I have written over here, future scope and caution is significant. And the name of the side editorial itself is of hope and vigilance. WHO's announcement gives hope, but there is a message of caution. Okay, the world lived experience with pandemics has often conferred with the certitude that epidemics went to die down or transform into seasonal outbreaks. COVID-19 is no exception. Okay, what do you mean by this, guys? That normally what you have is that the pandemics, they do begin, they have their peaks. Once they reach their peak, they somewhat stabilize and they try to wend down, and they normally convert themselves into seasonal outbreaks. But COVID-19 was something very different. Why? Because we had very much mutations in the virus. You had different forms of virus like Delta, like Omicron, and this virus mutated itself with regards to transmissibility and severity also. So the virus called as COVID-19, or the novel coronavirus 19 disease, followed the same trajectory which every pandemic has followed, and now COVID-19 has become a seasonal outbreak. Seasonal outbreak in the sense that only in the months of spring you have COVID cases spiking. That has been the global cause now, or that has been the global occurrence now. But does this mean that COVID-19 will not mutate in further? We need to take account of this. Okay, so COVID-19 pandemic was no longer a public health emergency of international concern. So according to WHO, COVID-19 pandemic is no more a public health emergency of international concern. Now all the restrictions have been relaxed. Now you can finally take out your mask. But guys, that is not the case. We need to move ahead and think. Now, what we need to do in the future, or what precautionary steps we need to take now, so that the world does not suffer the same way the way suffered in this pandemic. Okay, so the first is to prevent the world from slipping into a torpor or complacence. For COVID-19 is not over. Multiple variants and subvariants continue to emerge regularly, and it has not yet settled into a seasonal pattern that one can read or prevent. So as I told you that in India or in the tropical areas, COVID-19 is typically breaking out in the spring season. Like right now, you had many cases in the months of March and April, but this pattern is not yet well documented. We don't know whether this is happening globally. In Americas, in the Europe, it is spiking in December. In India, it is spiking in the months of March and April. So it has not yet basically transformed itself into seasonal outbreaks. So we need to be extremely cautious with this virus now. It can mutate, it can even spread easily. Okay. Second, at any point of time, it is possible that a new variant or a recombinant may lead to rapid transmission and can cause severe diseases resulting in hospitalizations and even high mortality rates. So the virus can basically mutate. Mutation of virus. What do you mean by mutation of virus? Mutation of virus basically means that a virus is transforming itself so that it evades the natural immunity of the human system. It evades the fighting mechanisms of the body, because guys, any virus will require what? Any virus will require a host. A virus cannot survive without a host body. So if the virus has to enter into your body and has to survive and has to proliferate, it will require a host body. And for that, virus has to do what? Virus has to evade our immunity. So basically you can think that this is a checkpoint in your body. The virus has to cross this checkpoint. So for virus to cross this checkpoint, it has to change its face value. It's just like the virus is playing hide and seek with your immune system. So sometimes the virus has a different face, your body recognizes that face. So now what virus will do? Virus will do a makeup, and virus will change its face and will come back as a new variant. Or it can have a recombination in the same variant. So you can have sublineage in the same variant too. So you need to be extremely cautious with regards to this. Okay. So eternal vigilance is essential to maintain a level of care and periodically test their capacity to respond to endemic situations. What do we need, guys? We need eternal vigilance. The first thing which you need to understand, that COVID-19 pandemic has still not yet been declared as a seasonal outbreak. It is still there. It can undergo mutations, it can undergo recombinations, it can come back with its vengeance. But for this, we need eternal vigilance. And for this, genome sequencing is very, very important. And you remember we did one lead article, we did one text and context on genome sequencing. So the same thing is very much important over here. The impressive network of INSAUGOG laboratories capable of genotype sequencing and even routine health infrastructure built up during the COVID years must be utilized well. So you need to do whatever experience you have got by imposing lockdowns, by preparing or by prepping the healthcare systems, by improving their capacity, you should utilize on that knowledge. You should understand what has gone wrong, what needs further improvisation, and what needs to be utilized to its maximum potential. So you know that when it was the peak of Delta wave, there was a very shortage of oxygen cylinders. Even the antiviral drugs like remdesivir, flapipipinarivar were not available, and you had very much kind of crony capitalism where people paid immense amounts of money to buy those drugs. So you need to understand that well, and you need to stockpile the medicines also well. And guys, you also need to understand the adverse effects of the medicines too, because you all know that when you had such good or such heavy antiviral drugs being given to a body, it will have adverse consequences. So you had emergence of black fungus infection, guys, in those people who were treated with these antivirals. So you need to understand that also. It is also important to take note that the foot of the pedals in terms of research and development into vaccine platforms, drug delivery systems, antivirals and antibiotics. Why did COVID-19 pandemic came in our hand, or how come we got a upper hand on the virus? Why? Because in 6 to 7 months the vaccine was ready. In 7 to 9 months it was done with the phase 1 trial. In less than 1 year phase 3 trials were over, and in less than 1.5 years the vaccine was ready for deployment. So why have we achieved this? Because we have invested heavily on research and development. So now it's not the time that you are taking your pedal off of that. You need to invest heavy in research and development, particularly in antivirals. Why? Because we do have treatments for bacteria. We do have treatments for fungus, but presently we don't have good treatments against viruses. So antiviral research is very, very important. And with regards to antibiotic, guys, you also need to understand that we have not yet made any new antibiotic in the last 25 years. In the last 25 years, we have not yet made even a single new antibiotic. And whatever antibiotics are present in the market, because of extensive overuse, because of drug abuse, what has happened? It has resulted into antimicrobial resistance. So we need research in the field of antibiotics too, so that the existing bacteria do not become resistant to the existing line of antibiotics. So you need to understand this, that we shouldn't take the pedal off of research and development into vaccine platforms, drug delivery systems, antivirals and antibiotics. At personal level, number fourth, you should also do what? At personal level, you should also follow personal hygiene and precautions that become habit during the COVID years. So it's your responsibility, guys, too. It's my responsibility too, that we follow personal hygiene. So what we need to be cautious about, I'm summarizing the entire article for you in 4 points. Number first, COVID-19 pandemic has not yet become a seasonal outbreak. So it can undergo mutation, it can undergo recombinations. Basically, it can change its face while doing makeups. So you need to understand that. So we need to be doubly cautious with regards to this. Number two, eternal vigilance is very much necessary. Whatever you learn from the pandemic years, whatever you learn from the capacity utilization, that knowledge needs to be improvised. It's like this analysis session which we are taking. So the people who are watching me now, I have Yash, I have Anup, I have Stuti, I have Jagriti. So those of you who are watching me now, you are also learning with me. Every day you will evolve yourself. So the same thing we need to do with regards to handling. Eternal vigilance and utilization of knowledge is the key. The third thing, we need to ensure that we don't take off our pedal, we don't take off our foot from the development of antivirals and antibiotics and the research in the field of vaccines, because it was only because of vaccine technology like mRNA vaccines, the Covishield of India, okay, the Pfizer of India, the Pfizer of USA, Moderna of USA, that we had this virus under control. And the fourth thing, personal hygiene. You need to ensure your personal hygiene, the habits which you formed during COVID-19 years, that you wash your hands properly for 20 seconds, you wear face masks, you maintain a 20-feet distance, that everyone should adhere to. So this is the future scope wherein you and I should tread cautiously with regards to the handling of pandemic. Okay, now let's move ahead to the discussion of the other article. Okay, now this article, guys, is very, very important. Okay, this article is severity level score number 10. Okay, and this article is a continuing article of whatever we discussed in the previous sessions. So you all know that you had a Maoist incident in Chhattisgarh where 10 people of DRG, the District Reserve Guard, were killed. So this article paints a picture with regards to the challenges faced by the forces, with regards to the challenges on the grounds of recruitment of the forces, like what is not being adhered to on the policing side. Up till now, what we discussed, that what was happening on the other side, like what were the local tribes feeling, what were the feelings of the Maoists. But now we need to understand the systemic loopholes too, like where we are failing in policing, because that is what is your job as civil servants, that is what you will all will adhere to, or you will have to improvise upon once you become civil servants. So we need to understand from this perspective now, wherein what is lacking on the behalf of regulation side, what is lacking on the behalf of organization side, and what is lacking on the behalf of policing side. So this article is a very beautiful article, and such articles again bring a smile to my face. Why do they bring smile to my face? Because such articles directly translate into mains. So make sure that you understand this article holistically, because left-wing extremism, it was said that it is now over. Okay, since 2014, when this government came into power, you had very low incidence of Maoists, but again the Maoist activities have picked up. So but naturally you have this section separately in your GS paper 3, challenges to the internal security of India, left-wing extremism, okay, the spread of ideology. So you need to understand this article from that perspective too. Okay, so let's begin. The Maoists are still a threat. Okay, you need to understand the issue holistically. Understand the issue holistically is very important, and you will discuss the challenges and way ahead. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is the strike which was carried out on April 26. That strike was a very pre-planned strike. Okay, that strike was not a strike which was improvised there and there itself. No, it was a very pre-planned strike. Okay, a strike such as the one carried out on April 26 cannot be the brainchild of a local Maoist unit. It is likely that this was a trap laid out under the directions of the Maoist Central Committee, indicating sustained hierarchy of the Maoist. The primary motive seems to send out a message of continued control by the guerrillas. What do you mean by this, guys? Okay, so basically when this attack happened when the local unit of the Chhattisgarh police force. So Chhattisgarh police force has a local unit called as DRG, okay, wherein the local youth are employed and they are given training to fight with the Maoists. Why? Because it is felt that the local youth will have more knowledge of the territory, they can fight in that conditions better. So Chhattisgarh police does recruit the local youth under the aegis of DRG, and these DRG people, they were conducting a raid on the Maoist camps, and when they were coming back from that, attack happened. So it means that this was all coordinated from the inside. It was a deliberate trap, it was a setup so that we can attack the DRG of the Chhattisgarh police. And this means that the motive is very clear. That what is the motive? Who is in control? Is the Chhattisgarh police in control? No. Who is in control? The guerrilla fighters. So continue control by the guerrillas. So you need to understand the motive behind the attack. Okay. And this attack, like many of the proscribed groups' previous attacks, was carried out during the Tactical Control Offensive campaign, the period between February and June every year when Maoist activity carry out maximum attacks against the security forces. So which time period you have maximum attacks? You have maximum attacks between February and June. Why do you have maximum attacks in this year? Again, this can be questioned in the mains. This can be questioned in the interview. So your answer should be that this being the winter months, these being the months when you don't have much rainfall, so the tracks are very open. It's very easy to spot the security guard vehicles from a distance in the jungle. As soon as monsoon comes, greenery returns, vegetation grows, and it becomes very difficult to carry out such attacks. So February to June is the time when Maoist activities reach a peak. Okay, the date clearly point to a pattern that should give the government enough leads to plan its strategy. Most importantly, it is imperative that the security forces remain extra cautious during the months of tactical counter-offensive campaign by strictly adhering to standard operating procedures and protocols, which seem to have been blatantly flaunted during the unfortunate strike on April 26th. So as Maoists tracked between February and June, as the attack between February and June, so similarly we have counter offensives by the local policing units between this period, because this is the only time period when you can exactly enter into Dandakarnya. The area which I am talking about, the Chhattisgarh basin, that's the area of one of the most notorious forests of India. It is called as Dandakarnya. Okay, so if I am quoting it, a little bit of Hindi. Dandak means punishment and Karna means Karnya means one. So a forest which gives you punishment because of its topography. Hence the name Dandak one. Hence the name the punishment of the forest. Why the punishment of the forest? Because the topography is so damn rugged. The topography is so damn rugged with big rocks, boulders and trees growing it in between that it becomes very difficult to track to this forest. Hence, both the government as well as the Maoist officials, they will have a peak of their operations between February and June before the onset of the monsoons. So you need to understand this very, very holistically. Okay. And the standard operating procedures need to be adhered to. You need to understand that when you are going for a counter offensive, you need to have the standard operating procedures being adhered to very, very strictly. Now, why they are not being adhered to? A common question will come in your mind. Sir, these are elite units. They should be trained properly, but here comes the catch. Their training is not proper, and that is what this article is about. Okay, so let's move ahead. It is widely acknowledged that effective policing in insurgency affected regions is the function of a strong state police force, and that central police forces ought to supplement, not supplant, the state police. So policing in Maoist affected areas should be done properly by the state police. The central forces should what? They should supplement the state police, not supersede them. But that is not the case. According to the data of Bureau of Police Reforms, Police Research and Development, there are many vacancies in the state police forces. As of January 1, 2021, the share of vacancies in the state police cadres in the left-wing extremism affected areas was 24%. Okay, so 24%, there you have vacancies. The state police is understaffed. So how do you think that they are going to conduct such big operations? So central police forces, they need to do what? They need to supersede the state police service. They don't have that much of staff with them. So understaffing. Without comprehensive transformation of the state police, central forces would achieve little beyond random and at times misplaced killings. Why I'm saying this, or why this article is arguing this, that without the help of the state police, central police services, the central forces will achieve what? At times misplaced killings. Why? Because are the central forces well aware, or are the state forces well aware? But naturally, the state forces are well aware of the territory. They know the ins and outs of the territory. So they can handle the situation better. And most importantly, guys, the state police forces know what? They know the local dialect. They know the local language. See how language is so damn important. Okay, if I'm just standing in front of you and speaking like this, okay, like this, the state forces do need to do this, do need to do that. Will you get anything out of me? Absolutely not. I need to understand your language. You need to be extremely comfortable with the way I'm speaking. So this is a game of improvisation. This is a game where you need to understand or tap the local dialects, and hence state police forces are very, very important. So on the regulation side, the central forces should not supersede, should not supplant the state forces, rather they should only supplement them. Okay, let's move ahead. In the context of employing local tribal youth for DRG, okay, the full form of DRG is this. It is called as District Reserve Guard. Okay, so District Reserve Guard falls under the Chhattisgarh Police. It's a unit of police where the local youth are trained by the police for conducting such raids, for conducting the anti-Maoist offensives. So as they are local youths, so there are certain challenges that they face. Okay, in the context of employing local tribal youths for the DRG, a few facets are ignored. So here comes the problem where the local forces are not trained well. First, the local youth, when armed, often get a false sense of empowerment and land in feuds with the Maoist. So just imagine that I'm a local youth of Chhattisgarh's Dantewada district. I'm getting AK-47. I'm getting AK-56. So as soon as I get AK-56, everyone will start bowing in front of me. So this will give me what? This will give me a false sense of pride that yes, now I am the supreme leader. Okay, everyone in the world will bow down in front of me, and because of such callous attitude, you will end up in feuds with the local Maoist leaders. So the first thing which you need to do is, such vigilance is due to familiarity by the virtue of belonging to the same ecosystem as the Maoist. So you need to work on the attitude of the DRG people. Why? Because they feel that they are familiar with the topography, they are familiar with the people over there, and now they have got the power. It is like this only, guys, that you are all preparing for civil services examination. Once you become IAS officer, what attitude or what aptitude instills in you will determine how better you serve the society. So again, if you get false sense of pride, you will end up doing what? You will end up doing corruption. You will end up getting influenced with the local people, and your career will not be that good. So same thing is happening over here. Second, the DRG needs to be employed in a controlled manner by the way of state police. Security should not be simply outsourced to them. Please make sure that you are getting this point. Okay. Whenever the Chhattisgarh police tends to do what? Tends to conduct such counter-offensive attacks against the Maoist, the security is directly outsourced to the DRG. So it's the DRG which is going into the Dandakarnya and it is fighting on the behalf of the state police. But are these youth properly trained? Are these youth in the right mindset to conduct such raids? And you don't know which of the DRG is compromised. So it becomes very difficult to understand this. So please make sure that security should not be directly outsourced, should not be simply outsourced to the DRG. The third, although combat worthiness of DRG is beyond doubt, it is not complemented by the rigor of discipline which is imperative for the quality of troops in any protracted counter-insurgency campaign. I'm again reiterating, it is beyond doubt, it is not complemented by the rigor of discipline which is an imperative quality for the troops in any protracted counter-offensive campaign. The track record of the DRG regarding discipline is not so encouraging, with many of the cadres having been cashiered on disciplinary grounds and some having been found to be involved in crime. So the people whom you are sending to fight against the Maoist, they themselves lack discipline. So it's like you are going in a battlefield with your most potent weapon and that weapon is not functioning. So what's the use? So now guys, this article becomes very important for you all to understand what is lacking on the supply side. Supply side of what? Supply side of conducting the counter-offensive operations. Okay, the demand is we need to have the Maoist under control, but we are supplying what? We are supplying such a force which is not proper trained, it is lacking discipline. Number two, it is having false sense of pride, and most importantly, you are directly outsourcing to the DRG. Whereas DRG should be supplemented by the state forces properly and they should have good ground communications with the central forces too. So these are the three issues which are pegged by the DRG. And you have to quote these issues guys directly in your answers. So please make sure that you understand the way I am speaking. I hope those who are watching me, Ranjan, good morning, Stuti, Anup, Yash and Jagriti, I hope you are getting the words that are coming out of my mouth, because these words you have to translate into mains at any cost. Okay, so now let's move ahead with the lasting solutions. So solutions are again the same thing guys. Okay, whatever we discussed in the previous lectures and whatever I'm telling you from day one. Why do you have such activities? What is the root cause of left-wing extremism in India? Fear of alienation. If I am a tribal person and if you are coming to me with the allure of development, with the promise of better economy, with the promise of a better Uber lifestyle, better Uber culture, urban culture, and in that urban culture, I start feeling alienated because my life is closely interlinked with the forests. My life is closely interlinked with the local topography. My life is interlinked with my people. And if you take and place me in an urban city, what will happen? Alienation. So alienation is one of the root cause which we need to address. This incident calls for a deeper reflection on the discontent and disposition of the tribal people of central India, who are all in respects the most disadvantaged of the citizens. Okay, no development, no good source of livelihood, highly disadvantaged in terms of facilities. So how you should treat these people? Should you treat these people under the allure of development, or should you threaten these people that if you don't do this, we will make sure that you will adhere to this with force? No. Using force is not the answer. You have to win the people with love. You have to win the people with respect. If I'm very strict with you, if I'm not giving you any respect, will you listen to me at any cost? No. It's like you and me are sailing this boat together. you and me have to move step by step ahead. If I just start superseding on you that you are not getting this, you are not doing that, you are not at all good for preparation, no, that will not happen. You and me have to improvise together. The same thing has to be done by the government. And mind you, the first word which I'm telling you today to remember for mains perspective, I told you, you need to understand the language and vocabulary. That word is perception management. Okay, perception management. What do you mean by perception management? So, government also needs to pay adequate attention to perception management. What is perception management? A case in the points is the extensive road construction projects in Bastar. The government says these projects will enhance the reach of the security forces instead of saying that they will ease the lives of the local population. So, if the government is saying that we are constructing roads for what? For free movement of security persons. So, will the tribal people feel threatened or they will feel good? They but naturally feel threatened. Why they will feel threatened? Because for them now this road is bringing more and more alienation to them. This road is now bringing more and more dominance on them. So instead, what you need to do is you need to change the perception that if the government is bringing in roads, if the government is investing on infrastructure, this will translate into what? Better source of livelihood, because your connectivity will increase. So recently, Vande Bharat Express has been launched from Nagpur to Bastar. So instead of portraying this as a development which will result into more alienation, the perception needs to be changed. That now because of this connection, any people or any tribal men or women from the Chhattisgarh can now connect with Nagpur, and from Nagpur they can easily connect to the big cities of Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, Kolkata, Bengaluru, anything. So this perception needs to be changed. So perception management and alienation. These two things are very paramount in understanding of this issue. So guys, I hope this article was eye-opener for each and every one of you, and you will summarize this article holistically. Okay. So I'm again reiterating, you need to understand the time period when the Maoist attacks happen. You need to understand the loopholes from the state policing perspective. The state police itself is understaffed. Okay, you have 24% vacancy as of 2021. So the central forces are but naturally going to supersede, and the DRG people, lack of discipline, not adhering the standard SOPs, they get false sense of pride, and also they become complacent. Okay, so these 4 or 3 things you need to understand, and the solutions: don't quote any development from a negative perspective. So perception management and working on the discontent and the disconnection of the people is the way ahead for combating the left-wing extremism in India. So guys, please utilize this article properly from your mains perspective, from your essays, and also from your opinion forming. Such articles will come very, very rarely in Hindu, and whenever such article comes, big smile on my face, because such articles become self-explanatory to each and every one of you. Okay, so now let's move ahead with the discussion of another article. So the next article that we have today is rather with regards to the drug recall law in India. Now, globally you are finding that some of the medicine batches that are exported from India to other countries, they are not adhering to the highest of standards, and because of this the people in other parts of world are suffering from adverse effects, from adverse severe effects. So some people in USA have become blind, permanently blind, because of an eye drops which were manufactured by a pharmaceutical company in the South India. Some children died in Africa because of cough syrup. So the governments over there, the governments in the North America and Europe, they do have drug recall law, wherein if any batch of drug is not adhering to the standards set by the regulators, that batch can be completely recalled. But in India, we don't have any of these laws. So what is the reason behind this? What is the future scope, and what are the existing mechanisms? So let us now discuss with regards to this. Okay. So the lack of drug recall law in India, and this is an explainer. Okay, so this is a evolving kind of discussion, guys. Up till now we didn't have any discussion on this topic prior to such incidences, but this is where UPSC will tap into. Please make sure you understand this, because UPSC always keeps on saying new horizons, hence I have written the word new horizons. UPSC can tap into such horizons and ask you a mains question. Okay, so what happens when substandard drugs are indiscriminately distributed in the market? Have there been discussions on the implementing a drug recall law in the country? Why pharmaceutical companies resisting centralized drug recall authority? So the first thing which will be discussed, the story so far. So on April 25th, Abbott, a multinational pharmaceutical company, published a public notice in newspapers alerting people about a mislabeled batch of medicines that it had inadvertently shipped to the market. While such recalls take place regularly in the US, we have never witnessed domestic or pharmaceutical companies recall substandard or mislabeled drugs in India. So Abbott Nutrition recalled a drug in USA because of its failing in the safety standards, but do we have in India? No. Okay. India, on the other hand, has been mulling the creation of a mandatory recall law for substandard drugs since 1976. Okay. So now more than 30, 35, 40 years we don't have a law. Yet no law exists that mandates such medicine to be removed from the market to this day. Okay, so you need to understand that which was the first committee wherein such discussions were made and what is the present day status. Okay, in 1976, the Drug Consultative Committee, it is called as DCC, which consists of all the state drug controllers along with the senior bureaucrats from Ministry of Health and National Drug Control Regulator, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, CDSCO, discussed the issue of drug recalls. Now guys, in India, what is the problem? That the state drug regulators, they are more empowered as compared to the central drug regulators. So in India, the state drug regulators have a more say as compared to the central drug regulator. But is this good for the Indian society? See, India's structure is quasi-federal. Okay, the states have power, the central has power, but some areas are such areas where the center should have more power. And if it is with regards to substandard drugs, it is with regards to the public health, then instead of state regulators, the central regulator should have more power. Okay, so I'm again reiterating, it was in the year 1976 when the Drug Consultative Committee, which consists of all state drug regulators along with senior bureaucrats from Ministry of Health and the National Drug Regulator, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, CDSCO, discussed the issue of drug recall. Okay, in 2012, certain recall guidelines were published by CDSCO, but they lacked the force of law. So in the year 2012, there were certain guidelines which were published by Central Drug Regulator, CDSCO, but they lacked implementation. So still now we don't have any law for drug recall. Why there is no recall law? What are the challenges of it? Okay, there are three possible answers to this question. Number first, that the drug regulation section of Union Health Ministry is not up to the task of handling complex drug regulatory issues due to combination of factors including apathy, lack of expertise, greater interest in enabling the growth of pharmaceutical industry than protecting public health. So crony capitalism. Do the central drug regulator officials have the best interest of people in their hearts, or they just favor the pharmaceutical industry? Okay, so guys, those of you are listening to me, I'm just diverting my attention for 2 minutes, your attention for 2 minutes, and you will all be shocked to hear this. You all know that during COVID-19, Dolo 650 was the most supreme medicine for controlling fever. But what is 650? 650 mg is the amount of paracetamol, and 650 mg of paracetamol can lower your body temperatures for up to 8 hours, or let's say 6 hours. So in a day, doctor prescribed 3 dolos to everyone. Now just imagine, instead of Dolo 650, you would have directly taken 1000 mg of paracetamol. So it would have lowered your body temperatures for roughly 10 hours. So in a day, you need to take only 2 tablets. But to increase sale, deliberately, the company lowered its paracetamol content so that instead of consuming 2 tablets, you are now consuming 3 tablets. So per tablet price will increase and the pharmaceutical industry will flourish. Okay, what is happening in your household, guys? Okay, anywhere you go, you get free sugar. Now, what is free sugar? Free sugar is free diabetes. You consume more sugar, you end up getting diabetes, and as you get diabetes, who will profit? The pharmaceutical industry. So, do the officials have the best interest at their heart? Attitudinal problem. Okay, and is there expertise with regards to regulation of drug recall laws? That is the first point of discussion. Okay. The second possible factor is India's highly fragmented regulatory structure, with each state having its own drug regulator. Okay. To create an effective recall mechanism, the possibility of recalling drugs has to be centralized, with one authority wielding the legal power to hold companies liable for failures to recall drugs from across the country. However, both the pharmaceutical industry and the state drug regulators have resisted greater centralization of the regulatory powers. Again, vested interest. You need to have a central authority which can regulate, which can take control when such issue comes in hand. But do we have this? No. Okay, there needs to be an effective centralized mechanism, but the state regulators don't let this happen. Again, vested interest. Okay, so a strong centralized regulation is lacking. Okay, the third thing, okay, what is happening is that okay, the third possible factor is that Indian drug regulators are aware of the fact that a mandatory drug recall system, which necessarily has to be centered on a system of wide publicity, will bring to public attention the state of affairs in India's pharmaceutical industry. Public shaming. So now just imagine a big pharma company like Mankind. If Mankind is saying that their paracetamol tablets are not good, okay, so what will happen? Everyone who is consuming those tablets, or everyone who is trusting Mankind, they will start cursing Mankind, and it will bring in public shame to the Mankind pharma industry. So the pharma industry does fear public shaming. So the pharma industry itself is so complacent that instead of letting go out in the public, instead of having a more tend towards the public health, it focuses on its shame part, it focuses on its prestige. So guys, this is not done. Okay, what happens when substandard drugs are not recalled? Every month, dozens of drugs fail random testing in government laboratories. Ideally, these drugs will be necessarily recalled in a transparent manner, with the people being informed of the failures. So, what is needed, guys? What is needed in India is transparency and accountability. Bureaucracy, guys, you as future bureaucrats should not let this happen. You have ethics paper 4, wherein you have transparency, accountability, liability, probity, integrity. So it is basically your duty now as future civil servants that you take such steps wherein the greater public health is ensured. Guys, it's not about development, it's not about economics, it's about socio-economic centered development. It's about thinking a proper better good of the India as a whole. You can't just be more complacent with public health for your own profits. So you need to have transparency and accountability, and for this bureaucracy needs to work. That is the most ideal way ahead. So it is your job now as guys civil servant, the future civil servants of India, those who are watching me, those who will watch me in the future, that you all adhere to this and you make this happen in India. Okay, so this will be the true make in India. Instead of just opening up factories, instead of just opening up industries, generating employment, the true make in India is what? That you are implementing a regulatory mechanism where the greater good of the public of India is ensured. Okay, so very somber tone article, but we need to understand the challenges. Okay, so now let's move ahead to the discussion of another article. Okay, the second last article of today. Okay, so guys, this is again a headline based article. Headline based article means again a new gray area. So recently you had a controversy with regards to Bonvita. You all know, or it was famous on Instagram, Twitter. that whatever is written behind of Bonvita pack, is it really good? And you had legal cases and all that stuff, and the influencer had to take out the video of it. So basically, the concept of misleading ads, that whether if someone is serving you a good healthy cup of tea or good healthy cup of health drink, is it really healthy or is it not really healthy? Okay, so guys, this article is only painting you some of the regulations that exist in India for such ads, and what are the different forms which come under this ad. So what do you mean by natural product, what do you mean by fresh product, what do you mean by pure product, and what do you mean by original product? So this 3-4 definitions we are going to learn from this article. This article is not at all policy oriented article. This article is just information based article. So treat this article from this perspective only, wherein we are only exchanging information. Don't go into the detailed analysis of this article, only see this article from an information perspective. Okay, so what are the stipulations under Food Safety and Standards Advertising Regulations 2018? Okay, so on April 29th, the Advertising Monitoring Committee at the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSI, flagged 32 fresh cases of food business operators making misleading claims and advertisements. As per the regulator, the count of such offences shot up to 170 in the last 6 months. So you had total 170 claims of misleading advertisements with FSSI. Okay, so what are the regulations? Okay, so guys, you need to remember that in India you have very varied regulations when it comes to misleading ads. Okay, so there are 4 primary regulations in India. I will be discussing each one of them in the manner. You please just take note of the names. You don't need to summarize anything, you just need to know the issue. So if this issue comes from prelims perspective or from interview perspective, you need to be prepared. Okay, so the first is FSSI uses the Food Safety and Standards Advertising and Claims Regulation 2018, which specifically deals with food related products, while the Central Consumer Protection Authority CCPS regulations cover foods, products and services too. Okay, so FSSI is only concerned with what? Food and food products, whereas the Central Consumer Protection Authority, it is concerned with goods, products and services, everything. Further, the program and advertisement codes prescribed under the Cable Television Network Rules 1994 stipulate that advertisements must not imply that the products have some special or miraculous or supernatural property or quality which is difficult of being proved. Okay, so you must be seeing some ads on TV that first I was very sad and then this product came in my life and now my life is happy. Okay, so it's entirely misleading. If one cream is making you glow like anything, if one cream is making you glow more than Kohinoor diamond, so that's clearly misleading, guys, because your glow will not depend on any cream. Okay, your glow will come from within. Okay, so self-enlightenment. Jokes aside, guys, but these are the 3 rules which are of very paramount importance. Number 1, FSSI uses the Food Safety and Standards Regulation Act 2018, which specifically deals with food and food related products. Mind you, sin goods don't come under the purview of FSSI. So if you go to complain with regards to watch, liquor, with regards to cigarettes, with regards to sin goods to FSSI, FSSI has got no purview. Who has got purview on that? The Central Consumer Protection Authority. It will include what? It will include goods, include products, and it will also include services. Further, the program and advertisement codes prescribed under the Cable Television Network Rules 1994 stipulate advertisements must not imply that products have some special or miraculous or supernatural property. So if you are seeing such ads on television that this product will give you instant glow, this product will improve your digestion, or this product will cure you of cancer, this product will cure of any life-threatening disease, no, that not to be adhered to. Okay, and the last regulation that you have in India, products claim suggesting a prevention, alleviation, treatment or cure of a disease, disorder or particular psychological conditions is prohibited unless specifically permitted under the rules and regulations of FSS Act 2006. So any rule, okay, or any product which is suggesting prevention, alleviation or treatment for any life-threatening disease or disorder or psychological condition that is prohibited under the FSS Act of 2006. Okay, so you need to remember this also. So you have total 4 regulations. This is the 4th one. Okay, so what can a product be referred to as natural and fresh? Okay, so a product can be referred to as natural if it is a single food delivered from a recognized natural source and has nothing added to it. It should only have been processed to render it suitable for human consumption. The packaging too must be done sans chemicals and preservatives. So if you are consuming any natural product, so it should have only one natural source of origin, and the packaging should not use any chemicals and it should not use any preservatives. So if a company is misleading you that this is pure natural fruit juice and in the ingredients you are finding citric acid, so it is not natural, guys. Okay, I hope you got what I'm trying to say. Those who have got it, you will, and those you will get at a later stage, you will understand what I'm saying. So if a company is advertising that this is a real fruit juice or this is a fresh fruit juice and you are finding citric acid as a preservative, no, it's not natural. Okay, composite foods which are essentially a mixture of plant and processed constituents cannot call themselves natural. Instead, they can say made from natural ingredients. So composite food products, they cannot be called as natural. Fresh can be used for products which are not processed in any manner other than washing, peeling, chilling, trimming, cutting or irradiation by ionizing radiation. Okay, so fresh products, they are those products which are not processed in any manner other than washing, peeling, chilling, cutting or ionizing radiation. So this is the definition of fresh products. What about pure and original? Okay, what do you mean by pure and original products? Pure is to be used for single ingredient foods to which nothing has been added and which are devoid of all avoidable contamination, while unavoidable contaminants are within the prescribed controls. So if any company is giving you pure honey, so if you are consuming pure honey, it should be using what? Single ingredient food source. There should be no sugar in it. There should be no added sugar in it. There should be no added fake preservatives in it. Okay, so I hope you are getting what I am trying to say. Okay, because this being an open session, if any company listens to this, if I take the name of the company, it will result into trouble. So pure honey, if you are consuming pure honey and if you are adding sugar, so that is not pure. Okay, original is used to describe food products made to a formulation with a traceable origin that has remained unchanged over time. So if you are consuming original honey, so it should have a food source which is original and it has not changed over time. So you cannot source honey which is grown or which is made in lab. You cannot source honey which is grown in any infrastructure. You have to source honey where? You have to source honey from the wild trees, from the wild environment. Okay, what about the nutritional claims? So this is the most important gray area for India, because India does not have a good nutritional scheme wherein you have the recommendation of product as safe to it or not to it. If you go to European countries and if you take up any product, so in the back you have a safety score that how much of sugar you are getting from this product, is it good for your health or not. Recently we have a regulation with regards to percentage of RDA, recommended dietary allowance. So now if you drink one bottle of Coca-Cola and if you just flip the bottle and if you see how much of sugar is added in one bottle of Coca-Cola, so you will see that one bottle of Coca-Cola will have roughly 12 to 10 tablespoons of sugar. So if you are consuming one bottle of Coca-Cola, all of your day's sugar content is taken in just one bottle. So 100% of your recommended dietary allowance or daily allowance of sugar is just being engulfed in one go of one bottle of Coca-Cola. So guys, this is not done. So you need to have certain good regulations wherein the consumer is enlightened with regards to where this product is good for your health or bad for health. Just simply making the consumer understand, oh, this has got added sugars. No, because the consumer is not that enlightened, the consumer is not that educated. You need to have simpler rules for nutritional claims. Nutritional claims may either be about specific contents of a product or comparisons with some other foodstuff. Claims of equivalence, such as contains the same form of nutrients as food or as much nutrients as food, may be used in labeling provided that it gives the equivalent nutritional value as the referred food. So sometimes you have packaging where it is referred to that it has as much calories as this much. Okay, so it becomes very confusing. So you need to improvise upon that. Okay. Most complaints of misleading ads were related to the nutrition of a product, its benefits, and its ingredient mix not being based on adequate evidence. So majority of the complaints that you have are related to the nutrition, are related to the benefits, and it is related to the ingredient mix not being based on adequate evidence. So if any company is claiming that this product will improve your digestion or this ingredients will increase your weight, it will increase your muscle mass, so there is no evidence on this. So in India you do require good regulation. So I hope this article painted a good picture in front of you with regards to the 4 regulation and what do you mean by natural product, fresh product, pure product, and original product, and what about the nutritional claims. Okay, so let's move ahead, guys. Now let's move ahead to the discussion of the last article of today. Again, a headline article. So this is with regards to the unrest in Manipur. Okay, so the Supreme Court CGI, the Chief Justice of India, has basically quoted that the High Court of Manipur, which gave the order of amending the scheduled tribes list, wherein now the Methi community of Manipur is now included in the scheduled tribes list. This is not to be done by the high courts. This has to be done via a law in the parliament. The president has to give assent to this, and this has already been established in a 23-year-old case. Okay, so just understand this. Okay, the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, on Monday asked why a 23-year-old constitutional bench judgment, which clearly held that no court or state had the power to add, subtract, or modify the scheduled tribe list, was not shown to the Manipur High Court in the first place. So, what is happening in Manipur? If we test the constitutional validity of it, if this case goes to the Supreme Court, will it be held constitutionally valid? No, because already the Supreme Court has given the judgment that the state governments or the lower courts cannot do this. Okay, it is the presidential power to designate a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. Okay, it is open to state governments or courts or tribunals or any other authority to modify, amend after the list of scheduled tribes specified in the notification issued under the clause 1 of Article 342. So it is not open. Okay, the constitutional bench in the state of Maharashtra versus Millen had held in November 2000. So what is the name of the case? If Manipur issue now comes, you need to quote this case. What is the case name? It is Maharashtra, state of Maharashtra versus Millen in the year 2000 only. The Supreme Court held that no state government, lower courts, or any officials have the right to amend the scheduled tribes list. So this issue will not at all be held constitutionally valid. It will not even stand for a second in the Supreme Court. Okay, so this is what CGI has opined, and now it's up to the will of people, the whim of government, where things go. But you need to understand from this perspective, guys. Okay, so guys, this sums up the article for today. I hope that each one and every one of you, those who are listening to me, you are immensely benefiting from this article. I tend to again reintroduce myself. My name is Pritesh Mathurkar. You can reach out to me on Telegram by just doing a global search at the Hindu Analysis Zone. The name of the channel is HAZ, where I directly post the PDFs after these classes, and you need to make it special Hindu Analysis Zone. Okay, so it's up to you whether you make this analysis special or not. Okay, so on the behalf of StudyIQ IAS English, my entire team, I sign off for today. I hope these sessions were enlightening to you all, and you and me will move even further. You and me will improve upon the content, and that we all will succeed in the end. Okay. So see you all tomorrow sharp at 9 a.m. for discussion of the 10th of May of current affairs. Till then, please study smart and hard, and don't get complacent. You have to toil hard. You have to be consistent in your preparation. Okay. So let's meet all everyone tomorrow with even more vigor. Every day our Josh will improve. Okay. So see you all. Have a good day. Please study, work and smart, and please study consistently. Okay. That's the need of the hour. Thank you.